Hello and welcome back to another Criterium. Today we have the Woonie Crit down in Rhode Island, presented by the Tri-State Cycling team. There are a lot of those guys here in the black and orange kit. Some of the kit is a little different, but there was, at least 10 of them in a field of around 45 people. The course, as you can see, is this nice, long and skinny with basically 2 hairpins. The race started with this neutral, nice and slow start from the start line. I think this was mainly to give everyone a chance to ride through this first corner together, especially given that there's a lot of folks and it narrows and it's fairly tight. And as we'll see, it's very consequential, extremely so for me, and even more so for one other person who crashed, unfortunately. So the moto here, you can see pacing us, keeping us nice and slow, neutral here. No problem getting through the corner this first lap. And then as soon as we all kind of get through, he waves us on to start the race. At this point, the race has started, but I think folks are a little antsy. You can see it's kind of tight here with the one lane. Some folks want to move up, but really the road's kind of blocked at the front right now. There's a little bit of chatter of like, come on, let's pick up the pace here. I think folks want to spread the group out a little bit before we get back around to do that turn again. We got a little bit of a false flat here, kind of slow uphill into this roundabout. And then once we get past this roundabout into the hairpin here, it's really kind of more 2 turns, but and you can take them at speed. Not that I ever really had the chance to take them at speed, given that it's a bit of an incline, so you're kind of fighting up the hill all the way up to the finish line, which is all uphill. So there was that first turn, and now we're turning into the next one. And this one kind of kicks up just for a second, a little steep, and then kind of continues forward at, I don't know if I had to guess, maybe like 2% or something. Not crazy, but enough to be painful and add on to the work that you have to do, even in the draft. You can see some folks starting to move up, especially some of the lighter guys, I think, who... For them, this uphill is a great opportunity to move up and not give quite as beneficial of a draft. And we're coming right around down through downtown Woonsocket. My first time here, I gotta say. I actually got to meet the mayor after the race, which was kind of cool. He introduced himself to a bunch of folks around. So excited to see that, and I hope they get to bring this race back next year, actually. So back through the start finish here, and then we're gonna come right back down into that next turn. So the microphone doesn't pick it up, but I did hear a loud bang. It sounded like either a clipped pedal or a wheel popped. And here I make a huge mistake. I don't follow the rider in front of me, and I slam the brakes, coming to almost a complete stop, and get dropped by almost the entire group. And for me, at this point, the race is over. There's no way I can recover back from this. At this point, I'm 20, 30 seconds off the back of a large group with a lot of team there. I certainly try, and I think that this is a good chance to work on my power and see just how much I can do. But you can see, like, they're already pretty far up the road. Watching that again, you can see instead of sticking right here and following that blue rider, and I would have gone through just fine, maybe slowed down a little bit. Instead, I kind of kick it wide. I think I was a little worried, not quite sure if other folks are going to crash. And then by that point, I couldn't just pull right back into the field because there were folks coming around behind me at speed. And so, need to kind of go between the folks who are kind of just standing there. Pretty unfortunate and definitely disappointed with the end result here. It sucks to have someone crash on the race. I did see some EMTs and firefighters taking a look at him. I hope he was all right. But it seemed like clipped a pedal, maybe, got scraped and bruised up a little bit. Might have hit his head a little, but luckily we're all wearing helmets, so that helps a lot. But yeah, so the rest of this is just going to be me surfing wheels, trying to find folks to work with to try and chase back on. And for the near future, there's not a lot of motivation to chase it. You know, this is a 4-5 race, and so there's a pretty wide variety of skills and, you know, endurance. I see this MIT guy start to go off the front, and I'm like, ah, crap. Like, I wish I was on the other side to chase him.
Go get him.
And you can hear me kind of encouraging the group to chase back onto him so I don't have to try and not do any work, which is always nice. And so they picked the pace up a little bit for me, which is exactly what I want. I want to try and encourage the folks I'm with to push, because at this point we're all losing, right? Like, we're, you know, 10, 20 wheels behind the main pack. And so we're all on the same team. I doubt that there's any, you know, team sprinters here who are deciding to not work. Like, even if they're in the back, they're not winning. So here's that corner again. As you can see, you can take it much faster. You know, when you have space, there's plenty of exit there. But I think the issue is more that it narrows. And when you have a big wide field trying to fit into this tight curve, it's easy to strike a pedal or overlap wheels with somebody and, you know, cause a crash. So I wasn't happy with the group I was with. I can see up the road some folks, and so on this back stretch here, I decided to hop on the front and take a strong pull, which ends up splitting us from most of the folks we're with, and I end up with this one Tri-State Cycling gentleman here who, you know, takes a turn with me, which is great. And like I said, we're all kind of on the same team, so we're working together here. We're not trying to attack each other for the most part. And as we go, we'll see a couple other folks. It's kind of interesting, you know, we tend to catch folks, and then, you know, they either can join us and work for a little bit, or more likely, you know, they're already gassed from trying to chase back on themselves, and, you know, we end up going past them. Or, like we see here, the guy in the pink kit, or is it purple? I don't know, we'll call it pink. He catches up to us and starts taking pulls, and his pulls are strong. And so I immediately was like, oh man, I'm really gonna have to work to stay on here. And I, you know, try and measure my efforts so I don't end up too hurt. He takes a pull on the front on this uphill, and it just sucks, you know. Or it doesn't suck, it's a strong pull, but, you know, I'm trying to do, you know, I'm doing 300 watts in the wheel, and then the Tri-State Cycling guy kind of drops off, and I have to chase back onto him, just barely managing to latch back onto him and this group that we caught up to. You know, I think he's, you know, getting a little rest in, but feeling a little restless until we get to this hill when it's, you know, not going fast enough for him. So here you can see me doing, you know, 250, 300, 400 watts in his wheel, and I just can't hold it. I'm pretty cooked from having to chase back on, and he's just like a little bit past my FTP. I managed to kind of catch back up, but my heart rate's pretty high, and I haven't had the chance to really recover, so I try and take another measured pull here. Not as measured as it should be, I think. 300 watts, definitely way above my FTP. So looking back at this, I think a little bit of adrenaline, just trying to stay and try and catch up to something, because, you know, in the distance we can kind of see the field. They're like, you know, got a half a lap ahead of us at the closest point, I think. And so we do a good job kind of working together. But like I mentioned, he's definitely got the motor, a little bit more of a motor than me, and so on these uphills when he's pulling on the front, I'm struggling to hang on, and eventually it hurts. I think this is the one where he drops me, yeah. So I'm starting to fade, and he just kind of gets over the top and manages to keep going, and I'm, you know, cooked. I'm up at 182, 183 beats per minute, which is, you know, pretty close to my max heart rate. And I know that there's still, you know, at least 5 or 6 laps left. At this point, I wasn't sure exactly how many laps we had, I think, but I knew that I couldn't just, like, blow myself up to stay onto his wheel and then not have anything left to, you know, actually finish the race. And that's kind of the theme here, you know, a bit disappointing. One interesting thing that came out of this was about a lap after the crash, I thought to myself, oh man, I wonder if I could have gotten a free lap because I was impeded by the crash. And so I ended up asking one of the USAC officials after the race, just curious, be like, hey, there was this crash at turn 2, I ended up, being impeded by it or whatever. Should I have come back and asked for a free lap? Because I wasn't sure. I don't know the rules, and I think I've seen videos online where folks do that and say, like, hey, if you're impeded by the crash, even if you don't necessarily, if you don't go down yourself, if you have to put a foot down or brake really hard and you get left behind. I've seen some people get free laps, but this official said no. Generally, you're only supposed to get the free lap, at least at this race. I don't know if it's all crit races, but if you go down, yeah, you can get the free lap. But if you're just impeded and you have to slow down a bunch, no free lap for you. There's definitely seems to be. He did mention that one of the Somerville races, though, they're not Somerville, Massachusetts, Somerville, New Jersey, I think it is. There was a big, crash and hold up in the P12 field, and 40 guys show up at the pits asking for a free lap because basically the whole field got left behind, minus after the split, because the whole road was blocked by the crash, and not all of those guys went down, but. As the official was telling me, he's like, you don't have time to find out who did and didn't fall over, so you kind of just let everybody back in, at least in that situation. But there's no guarantee. And so I think in this situation, I had to, I didn't have to put a foot down, luckily, but I definitely didn't get a free lap. And I don't think I would have maybe gotten one if I had asked. In any case, I think in the future, I don't know, maybe being a little more assertive in those crash situations. I'm still not super used to seeing, crashes up close. If you look back in my channel, I was involved in a small crash in a race at the Frozen 4, but nothing serious. And in this case, I wasn't involved in the crash at all. It was more just dodging it, and I did a poor job doing that. And so I think just getting a little smarter with the lines and, sticking to someone's wheel, I think maybe that would have helped me here, and I certainly would have gotten a different result. But yeah, so here we are on the last lap. We've been working with this group of 4 or 5 guys. This gap opens up because we had just caught on to 2 new guys, and they were behind him waiting to take a turn. But then instead of catch after I pull off and this guy starts to accelerate, they just let the gap open with the last lap. And so my first thought is, damn, they're playing games. We're just, there's 1 lap left. We're off the back. So either that or they were tired. And as we'll see, I don't think it was because they were tired. I think they were not interested on being in the front in the last lap because they wanted to sprint for the end and try and beat the rest of this group, which is fine. It's a race. Everyone's here to have fun and compete. So I don't knock him for it. Just a little disappointed on my side because it means that I have to stitch this back up. I could have not stitched it up and let the gap open, and he would have motored away, and we might not have caught him. But I was more interested in just kind of team time trialing it at this point and just trying to not get lapped. Which, if you watch, as we watched through all of this, I don't think I actually did get lapped at all. The final results do show me down 1 lap, but I think that might be a mistake just because of how spread out the field was and how wide things were. I was chilling afterwards for a little bit to see the results and saw some of the podium, but it was taking quite a bit of time, and it's an hour drive for me back, so I figured I'd just get on the road and get home and eat some lunch. And since I knew that I wasn't, anywhere close to the top 10 or anything, I wasn't super concerned with the position, not going to bother trying to contest, the difference between, 13th place and 30th place or whatever. It's Cat 5. I'm not getting paid for this, not earning points. And there goes those 2 guys who were with us. They decided to sprint and chase each other. And I'm like, well, bye. They had plenty of speed when I was, when they passed me, so I knew I wasn't going to be able to latch back on. But here with around 200 meters or so to go, the meter number here is a little wrong. I need to fix that in the software. I decided to stand up and just kind of empty the tank to cross the line here. Get a bit of a gap and cross the line. Managed a pretty decent amount of power, 245 watts weighted average, and this was my second best 30-minute power ever, which was really cool. So I am getting stronger, but it's a slow climb. Thanks for watching. If you have questions, leave a comment. And I will see you all in 2 weeks, perhaps, as I go to Devens. Thanks.